Well, it's finally here, after years of people asking why, when there's a recently beloved live-action film adaptation of the entire book series, set photos showing a cosplaying and depressed cast selling out while doing their best to look cheerful, and the show's creator doing everything in her power to associate the entire brand with a global fascist exterminationist project, we get the trailer for the brand new Larry Ellison-owned HBO mega series, Harry Potter and the Fuck You, That's Why! Even though we all knew it was coming, nothing could really prepare you for how they handled the rollout. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of controversy about rebooting an entire live-action series this early. Not to mention the idea of readapting it as a prestige HBO series complete with darker tones and desaturated color palettes. Behold the majesty of your childhood. Didn't you always envision the world of wizardry in a pastel tint? No? Well, fuck you! Like everyone else, I've always wondered what it would look like if you took the whimsical world of honeydew sweets and treacle tart and set it in a dark brooding prestige drama that begs the question, will everyone die? Oh, you don't get it? The show is Fuck You now. Everything Larry Ellison touches is rebranded as Fuck You. Wanted award-winning journalism from CBS? Instead, you get Fuck You in the form of Barry Weiss. Want free speech? You get Fuck You, Don't Talk About Palestine in the form of TikTok 2.0. And now beloved and cherished British icons get to act all weird and squirrely when they're asked about why taking a paycheck is more important than trans people existing. Because while the Harry Potter brand is in a unique position in popular culture, still being a global juggernaut that can guarantee Fantastic Beasts of returns on investment, it's impossible to talk about anything Potter without recognizing its creator is one of the most wealthy and famous celebrities working today trying to eradicate trans people from society.
Perhaps Slytherin, or maybe Hufflepuff, or trans women aren't really women.
Wait, what?
Sure, when Fantastic Beasts was dropping, you could make the liberal transphobic arguments of, is it that controversial to say that only cis women should play sports? Leaving the mimosa-fueled brunch arguments to fester while gender-critical thoughts planted their seeds of doubt. But the 2026 HBO series is coming out at a time when she publicly makes posts like, there are no trans kids. No child is born in the wrong body. There are only adults like you prepared to sacrifice the health of minors to bolster your belief in an ideology that will end up wreaking more harm than lobotomies.
Security agent. No, let him stay.
No.
Let him stay.
Now, I get that it's different considering most anti-gay bigots weren't also best-selling children's authors, but the language is the exact same that was used to justify the torture of gay kids. Anita Bryant famously said,
homosexuals cannot reproduce, they must reboot, and to threaten their range they must recruit the youth of America.
I can't remember what Anita Bryant sounds like, and I'm not going to look it up, so I'm just going to go with that. Franklin Graham, the anti-gay hate preacher, said, gays and lesbians cannot have children. They can recruit. You can recruit children into your cause. When others tried to point out that her rhetoric is the same that was used by the Nazis to persecute LGBTQ+ people in Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld's Institute of Sexology, the first book burning performed by the Nazis, rather than learn, she began engaging in a form of Holocaust denial.
Did the Nazis specifically target trans people? According to literally Auschwitz.org, the site run by the Auschwitz Museum and Memorial.
J.K. Rowling isn't just spreading hate speech with her massive platform. She's materially funding multiple organizations and campaigns that impact LGBTQ+ lives. She founded the J.K. Rowling Women's Fund in 2024, a private fund to provide legal financial support for what they call sex-based rights, explicitly established to segregate and remove trans people from society. In April of 2025, she spent over £70,000 funding For Women Scotland's appeal to the UK Supreme Court, which ruled that sex refers exclusively to biological sex determined at birth, effectively excluding trans women from legal protection in spaces. Quote, I love it when a plan comes together. #Supreme Court, #women's rights. Now the organization is prioritizing cases to remove trans women from hospitals and shelters. This means that every single dollar spent on every Harry Potter book and toy and movie and ride goes towards supporting an exterminationist project. If that sounds too harsh, let me put it plainly. If you pay money for Harry Potter today, you're a bad person. Not if you loved or owned the books from your childhood, not if one of your favorite cinematic experiences as a kid was seeing broomsticks fly past the screen hunting for golden snitch. But if you're paying money today to help fund Larry Ellison's re-envisioning of the work of the most powerful and prominent anti-LGBTQ+ hate activists working today, you're a bad person. I'm sorry, but you can't even look up what the modern equivalent of LimeWire is today to stream your racist wizard show? That includes the actors, by the way, who are all falling over each other trying to navigate being part of a propaganda network that's actively working to erase trans people from society.
Twitterverse controversy around J.K. Rowling's views impact you at all, or impact your work on the world at all?
No, I can't say it does. I'm not really that attuned to it. The only thing I always remind myself is that I've been lucky enough to travel the world. Here I am in New York. And I have not seen anything bring the world together more than Potter.
There are more anti-trans bills being tabled and enforced in the United States than are actively targeting any other minority group. Countries that have federal protections for LGBTQ+ people are still seeing healthcare taken away from trans children, like in Alberta, Canada, under Premier Daniel Smith. Black and Indigenous people who are also trans are at a much greater risk of experiencing sexual and physical violence in their lifetimes as a result of the global disinformation campaign partly funded by Joanne herself.
Your parents were the kindest, bravest people I ever met. They were funny and clever. And they stood up for what they believed was right.
Nick, this breaks my heart, man. You don't need to do this. I get the allure of taking up the mantle of playing a beloved character, but you can't do this, brother.
I'm playing both sides so that I always come out on top.
You can't say trans rights and reboot Hagrid so millions of children of the next generation Google J.K. Rowling. No, I'm sorry, John Lithgow, you don't get credit for nearly doing the right thing.
Harry Potter stories are this extraordinary phenomenon to reimagine the Harry Potter canon, to let it breathe.
You decided that being remembered as Dumbledore, the pink-washing character of the books, is more important to you than trans people existing.
I think what informed my approach to your voice is like sort of imagining that she's conjuring up the future from the loins of her body.
And this goes double for all the scumbags who thought they'd get a pass for doing a new audiobook retelling of the series for Audible.
Are you aware that some fans are calling for a boycott, given J.K. Rowling's ongoing campaign against trans people?
I was not aware of that, no. I'm very sorry. I think we're all living in a period of time right now where we're all going to have to figure out how to live together, aren't we? And we've all got very different opinions.
Can't I just get tons of money to ignore the politics of what is going on in the media I'm helping create? Isn't human rights a debate to be had? You are all rich, famous, and have established careers. You're amongst the extremely privileged less than 0.1% of actors who get to choose whatever projects they want. Why are you doing this?
I just really had to play Mad-Eye Moody. I just love Mad-Eye Moody so much. I just had to bring Mad-Eye Moody to life. Oh, Mad-Eye.
For what? Seriously, what is so fantastic about the beasts found inside the Harry Potter universe that makes ignoring how much LGBTQ+ children are suffering in your own country something that you can just ignore?
Answer me!
A Grindylow in the tank.
Ewan Rhian's Lupin is luminous and glorious and
so nuanced.
Sean as always did a really good deep dive into the story of Harry Potter and went through the task of reading the entire series to expose the lessons that it tries to teach, and spoiler alert, they're not good. I feel equipped to say this. Harry Potter is really, really racist. At this point, it's pretty well known that J.K. Rowling struggled deeply with having non-white representation and themes in her novels. Characters like Cho Chang, derived from Korean and Chinese surnames respectively, whose representation didn't go beyond being the notable Asian character in the series. The only prominent black character is named Kingsley Shacklebolt. When she was asked why there weren't more prominent Jewish characters, J.K. responded with Anthony Goldstein, which should be a pretty big yikes coming from the woman whose portrayal of the evil banking goblins in her films have been discussed at length.
Gringotts Bank? And they're like, I love the scenes of Gringotts Bank. He's like, do you know what those folks that run the bank are? And they're like, what? And they're like, Jews.
And then that person says, no, goblins. And then you go,
and you're like,
do you hear yourself?
Let me show you this from, it's the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. I just want to show you a caricature. And they're like, oh, look at that. That's from Harry Potter. And you're like, no, that's a caricature of a Jew from an anti-Semitic piece of literature. J.K. Rowling was like, can we get these guys to run our bank?
Oh, and how can we forget Seamus Finnegan, the Irish stereotype of the books and movies who spends most of the series being clumsy and blowing things up, which tells you all you really need to know about Joanne's views on Irish liberation. In the expanded wizarding world, the racism is laid out plainly towards indigenous people, appropriating the Navajo term skinwalkers, known as, quote, unregistered animagi, or wizards who turn into animals. The legend of skinwalkers is not something to be appropriated and commodified into a worldwide corporate product that erases indigenous culture and history. Look, maybe all that could be forgiven and simply chalked up to racial insensitivity until you get to the issue of slavery in the novels and genocide. The Harry Potter series goes for the very obvious parallel to Hitler's extermination of various groups such as Jewish, disabled, and Roma people being replaced with the persecution of Muggles, humans without magical powers. Those who are half, aka the parents of a wizard and a witch and then just a regular person, are called mudbloods. Yeah. Voldemort seeks to dominate the Muggles as the master race of wizards and witches and expunge the mudbloods. Now, putting all that aside, within this dynamic exists a separate system of slavery that is accepted even amongst those who are fighting against Voldemort in the form of the noble house elves. Hermione, being the most intelligent of the main protagonists, recognizes this for what it is, and the children even experience the bliss of seeing a freed slave in the form of Dobby when an item of his master is gifted back to him. She's ridiculed endlessly for it. Ron Weasley tells her,
Hermione, open your ears, they like it. They like being enslaved. Don't let them hear you poking fun at their work. They'll be insulted.
George and Fred Weasley tell her,
they're happy. They think they've got the best job in the world. You're going to have a job convincing them they're miserable, Hermione.
Hagrid goes on to tell her,
Bedown them in unkindness, Hermione. It's in their nature to look after them humans, that's what I like. You'd be making them miserable to take you away from them.
And these are the good guys. Those are not Voldemort quotes. These are the heroes of Harry Potter.
Don't need to have it all backfire as the elves find it insulting and refuse to clean the room, leaving Dobby. The series ends with a supposed happy ending where all the ultimate evil has been defeated, but the house elves all remain enslaved to powerful witches and wizards because ultimately they're more happy to serve. The end? What the ever-loving fuck? I also have to mention that the 2026 show is taking the bold step of making Severus Snape black. I only bring this up because it's obviously something that racists online are already losing their minds over, effectively begging the question, who exactly is this show for? I have no problem with fictional characters being portrayed by anybody, but if you know the story, you might realize that doing something like this comes with a lot of extra responsibility. You're now establishing as canon that Harry Potter's dad bullied the only black kid at school for years, who secretly had a crush on his white mother and ended up resenting Harry his entire life because of it, only to have him sacrifice himself nobly for Harry and his family in the end.
So you the one who be giving Harry a hard time because you liked his mama back in school. Because you called Harry mama mudblood, didn't you? So you do the slurs to the mudbloods, but it seems like they have slurs for you too. A black man in Hogwarts. Interesting. No, Harry told me everything. So Harry Daddy used to bully you bad. He showed your drawers in front of everybody. I get it, but that crush was from the 70s. You still holding on to that?
You can't just make the character black and not realize how the flashback sequences will look like footage out of Jim Crow if you don't handle this dynamic extremely cautiously. And do I trust a show that by its very existence is funding anti-trans hate organizations to be racially sensitive when altering any part of a beloved character's lore that already makes people become keyboard warriors online? And are black people expected now to bear the avalanche of the chuds melting down over a wizard not being a pure Anglo-Saxon blood in a series about blood quantum genocidal witches? This shit is a mess. But don't worry, they've got lots of years to figure this all out.
They talk war in the streets. I see more than they see in the tower.
How did this become the best-selling fiction series of all time next to the Bible and the IKEA catalog?
I went along because I was in love with you.
It's like asking how can the show's creator pretend to be fighting on the behalf of women and children, but then personally invite Jeffrey Epstein to the performance of one of their plays, after he was a convicted pedophile. J.K. Rowling is the biggest example of what I call summoning the shield of liberal virtue.
Expecto Patronum!
As long as the overall theme is people who try to exterminate impure bloodlines and consider wizards superior to humans as bad, it's okay if the heroes also own slaves. J.K. Rowling employs the same weaponry in her online hate campaigns. She's not anti-LGBTQ+, she's just anti-trans. She's okay with the gays. She even gave gay men the gift of retroactively making one of the most beloved characters of the series gay.
It was you who said we could reshape the world. It's what we said we'd do. Because I was in love with you.
You know, where she doesn't have to actually unpack or address any of the challenges gay men actually face. Like Dumbledore isn't called an F-slur by the Slytherin children, he isn't disinvited from school feasts because some of the more bigoted professors have concerns they'll contract a disease from him. He doesn't have to tell stories of how challenging dating other men in the wizarding world was, or was kicked out of his house after his parents beat him up, because it's part of his character after the books were released.
He's gay. Aren't you happy? Don't you feel seen? Can I go back to saying lesbians hate trans women now?
This is fake progress. It's the same kind of rainbow washing used to justify war crimes and genocide. How can you support Palestinians when they're so abysmal for LGBTQ+ rights? Ignoring the fact that gay men can't get married in Israel, it still wouldn't be okay for Israel to bomb gay men to death in Palestine, even if their LGBTQ+ record isn't flawless. It's using queer people as a shield to both oppress them domestically and others abroad. Look, I know it's hard when it's something as ubiquitous as Harry Potter. It's one of the most recognizable brands in the world, which also means there's no excuse not to recognize what the brand now represents. J.K. Rowling does not care about protecting children. Her team invited the world's most notorious pedophile to a children's play performance, and he was only turned down because they failed to get a second free pass for his guest. Despite Trump being in the files over 1 million times and actively working to oppress the rights of all women in the United States, she still saw fit to praise a child rapist for oppressing women. HBO is owned by Larry Ellison, a pro-Trump, pro-fascist, anti-women, record-breaking donor to the Friends of Israel Defense Forces organization.
That the Israeli army did everything they could to minimize civilian casualties. In that regard, they've done a much better job than a lot of other armies all over the world throughout history. Thank you very much. My pleasure.
While he's actively eroding bastions of once respected journalism like CBS, he's also helping promote propaganda that will suit the broader far-right project of targeting and vilifying LGBTQ+ people internationally. This stuff is all connected. You can't just ignore one part because it's convenient.
That J.K. Rowling literally uses her Harry Potter wealth to fund anti-trans legal cases.
In the simplest terms, these are rich and powerful billionaires using their wealth to promote dehumanization projects globally. J.K. Rowling can spend every last cent she has trying to eradicate all trans people from the planet, just like the Nazis did, while her racist ideology of,
"Oh, some people just naturally prefer servitude,"
novels can brainwash another generation of children into adoring her. Anti-trans dehumanization as a distraction is the perfect one. The most powerful politician today using it is also accused of raping dozens of women and children and potentially covering up the most powerful pedophile ring since the Catholic Church. While the illegal wars he wages on Palestinians and Iranians and Venezuelans and Cubans and the people of Lebanon enrich the same billionaires who want to distract everyone that trans people are the biggest threat to society.
He won the gold medal. There were two transition people, they both won gold medals. The whole thing is ridiculous.
Who is the dangerous minority destroying the planet? It's billionaires. Capitalism as a system working as it should intentionally creates unjust hierarchies between employee and employer, landlord and renter, rich and poor. With a more equitable system, or it evolves into its final form, fascism, where the economic problems created by capitalism can be blamed on a vulnerable minority group. Remember when I said the blood purity genocide storyline of Harry Potter was a direct parallel to the Nazis' persecution of Jewish, disabled, and Romani people? Well, another very important group that J.K. Rowling and every fascist should also learn about were trans and gay people. While the Nazis and the Pink Triangles in paragraph 175 and the destruction of Hirschfeld's Institute are more well known, less discussed was Benito Mussolini's police using confino, internal exile, to permanently banish gay men and what were labeled transsexuals to remote islands or prisons. LGBTQ+ people were seen as morally depraved and incompatible with fascist ideals of masculinity. Under Francisco Franco, queer people in Spain were imprisoned and sent to labor camps and tortured to death. In Estado Novo, Portugal, Antonio Salazar's regime had strict moral codes of sexuality and policed them heavily to maintain fascist ideals of masculinity. In Romania, under Ion Antonescu, there was a moral purification campaign to exterminate homosexuals and what were seen as the sexually depraved to maintain fascist ideals of masculinity. In Hungary, yes, to maintain fascist ideals of masculinity. You get the idea. A lot of white boys were trying out the final stages of merging the state and capital in a totalitarian nightmare that persecutes gay and trans people, disabled people, Jewish and Romani people, and in every single instance, a violent and systematic war was waged against trans and gay people, typically in the early stages of the fascist formation. And now we have the modern fascist governments of Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump, both bombing and slaughtering children overseas, violating other countries' resources, and attacking vulnerable groups while concentrating vast amounts of wealth to the richest 0.1%. Merging the state and capital with colonial expansionist projects in Venezuela and Greenland and Canada and Lebanon and Palestine. And it's exactly what Jeffrey Epstein would have wanted.
Look, I can frighten you. It's I am talking about an incredibly evil character, and my feeling is you are morally obliged when you're doing that to show how evil it is.
J.K. Rowling will forever be remembered in the same way that we think of Anita Bryant. Someone who is horrifying, hate-filled, ugly, wretched, a bigot. In the same way we think of Klansmen and Nazis and every single racist and supremacist who came before her. Which is why I think the time has finally come to share something wondrous and enchanting that is a secret spell you can share with the whole family. Something that you have the power to do right from the comfort of your couch or chair or train seat or wherever you're watching this video. To break the curse of the vile old crone that spreads pro-slavery racist slop that funds anti-LGBTQ plus exterminationist projects, you have but to repeat after me. Read another book.
Professor Moody, who was originally written as a Scot.
Don't put your wand there, boy! Read the books twice and I'd watched all the films.
So if you were watching this video and there's parts that jump cut strangely or music missing in the background, it's because we received an unfair copyright strike that I can't take down. If you'd like to avoid that, get early videos, uncensored ones, and bonus shows we can't post anywhere else, check out patreon.com/the Serfs. The show wouldn't be possible without the support of patrons like you.
特别鸣谢以下执行制片人 Political Puppy Multimonday Riley and Anna Omni Kid 185 Tigwick Stellar Dean Dot Cady Hackbird Celine Everything Important Ward Springwood Sebastian Demo Roller Dragon Bobby Lasers Enter Cat Soul Car